The juvenile is stopped and the police think that he may be a suspect and they question him, and they can question him all day long as he's not in custody. They can get a statement from him as long as he's not in custody, and whenever they're done, he walks away. That is fine. Now, if he is in custody, or they know that they're gonna arrest him after this interview because they have evidence, then they have to do what's called magistrate him to get a statement from him. They can talk to him, but once they get that statement, they have to take him to the magistrate, maybe a JP or some judge, and the judge, without the presence of the police, unless the judge thinks that, you know, he needs the police there for safety, will question the juvenile and give him his rights, and then he'll hand him back over to the detectives to get the statement. And then whenever the statement's done, the judge, without the police again, will go back in and say, hey, is this true? Is this correct? Is this the statement you wanna give? And he signs it in front of the judge. That's if they're in custody. If they're not in custody, police can ask them and get statements from them all day long.
And they're allowed to do that without an attorney?
Yes, without the parents, without even contacting the parents.
So
That's with consent of the person.
With the juvenile.
If the juvenile says, okay, I'll do the statement.
I mean, quite, you know, there are times that you talk to somebody, they might fit the description, but they're not the suspect, and so the police ask them, say, hey, where were you at? I wasn't there. They write down a statement.
okay, so
You know.
this is super important. So I'm a parent of 2 juveniles. So I'm telling my kids, and I've always told my kids this before this came out or whatever. So I'm telling them to ask for an attorney. I never knew that they could question your kids without the parents present.
Now-
But if the kids ask for an attorney, and that's why I'm asking, like, you know, how long before they would have to, you know, contact parents. But if they ask for an attorney, again, how long could they delay that process?
Quite a while. I mean, because an attorney might not get appointed until the next day.
Well, I'm not talking about an
Well, it would be just like it would be very similar to an adult ask for an attorney. If they don't give a statement, then the police are gonna conduct their investigation and continue into their investigation to get enough evidence to arrest the person, whether the person gives a statement or not.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So as a parent, I'm looking for my kid, I haven't heard from my kid or whatever. But I'm not talking about appointing an attorney, so now I will get a family attorney. But if, you know, I'm waiting to hear from them or whatever, and how long before they give my child an opportunity to call the family attorney?
Well, it's not the police responsibility to get the attorney. If he says he wants an attorney and he knows the police are contacting, you would hope that the juvenile would go to the parent and say, hey, I was questioned by the police, I said I wanted an attorney. That would be your responsibility as a parent to go find one,
Well,
or
that's,
to request one because they can't afford one. But if, let's say you have a kid that never tells you anything, and doesn't say that they were questioned by the police, and he says he wants an attorney, you know, it's very possible that the detective may call you as the parent and say, hey, we asked to talk to your son said he wanted an attorney, just to give you the heads up. It's very possible that they could call you and tell you that. But if they don't tell you that, the police are gonna go on with their investigation to gather that evidence to get it, you know,
oh, I would expect that. The piece I'm trying to figure
I
out.
don't think we can start, I think we should have, there's no specific time.
no,
Yeah,
there's
well,
not a
there's
time frame.
because
There's
I
no
have-
set time.
Yeah, because I have minors, I'm trying to figure out, like, my kid is missing because he hasn't come home, or because, you know, when he's at school. I'm trying to figure out what that time frame is that they're going to allow him to sit somewhere before they give him a chance to call an attorney. That's the piece I'm trying to.
Well, that's if, you're talking about if they're arrested. If they're arrested, if they're in custody, there is a time frame, it's 6 hours.
Okay, that's.
But if they're not arrested, you know, they can question them and talk to them all day long. until they, don't give any more information or
Yeah, well, like I said, I'm telling mine to ask for an attorney, so that should stop, that clock should stop.
Go ahead, and I wanted to say something on to the, what you guys were saying.
I just kinda wanted to ask, and I know where she was going with that, I'm kinda the same way, my kids are 10 years apart, one is 10, I'm 17. However, the question was, I keep hearing her ask a question, and my oldest granted to some trouble here in Killeen years ago, but, when you saying asking for an attorney, mine is you the whole time, ask for attorney. How many times do the police come in to ask them to get them to talk? Because mine said, I want a lawyer. However, after 10 times, you're just like, okay. So what do you just keep going after 10 times? They're not letting them go. They hadn't brought an attorney in, hadn't notified anybody. Okay, lawyer. So now you're here 12 hours, no lawyer, no one. So I just want to know, is it a time frame? Because eventually mine did get tired after 24 hours, and he did not, he started talking a little bit, but it wasn't enough to really convict him on anything. But I just want, because I think this is the question that she probably needs to know, because it's gonna continue to go on, and I know it happened here in Killeen. So I was just wondering, is there a set number of times that they come in before they say, okay, we're not gonna talk to this person anymore, or you just have to just keep saying lawyer for 48 hours?
Yeah, but mine's
Well, it depends on the situation, because if they're actually arrested and they go in to talk to them and they say they want an attorney, you may have an officer let's say the patrol officer that goes in and tries to talk to them and they say they want an attorney. They may let them sit in jail for a little bit, the detective may go in there and say, hey, do you wanna talk to us? And if they say, I want an attorney, then it stays at that. They should have a charge on them, get arraigned, and then either go to Bell County or get a bond amount set on them. And that can take up to 48 hours in Killeen, because Killeen is a holding facility. But going to Bell County, it could be longer.
Now, also too, I wanted to add that you said, and that's one of the things I was doing some research, and I was hearing on, can you explain the difference? When you are able to ask, am I under arrest? Because there's a couple of different things that I'm hearing. You're saying, if you're in custody, or if you've been arrested. So you have a child sitting there, they have a right to ask as well, am I under arrest? Because if they're not under arrest, aren't they free to go? Okay, so.
Well, not necessarily, because they can be detained. They can be detained and not be arrested. And even as detained, they're not free to go until the police are done with it.
But that has a time frame, right? They can only
No.
be detained.
No,
They can detain them as long as they.
Yes, that's what these parents are trying to figure out. There's no time. I think by the time we found out where my son was, and then you're talking about a big place like New York, if you remember the mother, it took her a day or so to find what precinct he was at. Colleen, I mean, you make a phone call, you call the number, but they couldn't give us any information because he was an adult. We didn't know what was going on, what were the charges, what had happened, we didn't even know what was going on. And then by the time the next day, I was able to get a lawyer, and the arraignment and things came, but by the time I said, but it had already been, and the lawyer said, hey, they have a right to hold him up to 48 hours. So finally he calls that afternoon, he hadn't slept, he's tired, and he talked. Because in this, you see, what was the main thing they wanted to do? They want to go home. If you are, like she's saying, if you are detained or arrested, young people, wait. Be patient. You just have to wait. And that was my biggest thing that I wish I would have told my child, to tell my girls, if anything happened, you just have to wait. And then when he found out everything that was involved, and by the time we got a bail bond lady, by the time we got that going, it had already been 3 weeks. But once he found out, and she's gonna talk about this in a little bit, once he found out, and he's just that type of kid, he's like, Mom, I don't want you to do all that, I'll just wait. So we had to wait, because we had to take the time now, because the damage had been done, we have to make sure now we get everything right, and again, that's why we're here today, because I did not know, and I don't want another family to go through what we went through, whether they're 17 or 13. I don't want them to go through that, because ignorance, that is not